Okay, so Boxing Day, uh, a good match.
A good match because we won. Yeah, good match because we won, especially when you come back in the dressing room and see the other scores of our rivals all winning virtually. So, that's disappointing, but at the same time, it's more disappointing if we come in with a draw or 0 points. So, yeah, cracking result, albeit against a team down the bottom of the league, doesn't mean anything. If anything, it's tougher because there's more pressure on us and they're fighting for their lives. Bit disappointed we got out of sight, should have scored a few more. And then obviously, towards the end, we were giving away a lot of silly free kicks and giving the referee an opportunity to give soft free kicks, even if they weren't. If we thought they were soft, we give the referee a chance to give them. And you just put yourself under pressure. So we rode the storm, defended well in the end, and massive 3 points.
Um, did the coaching staff learn anything new about Scunthorpe on Boxing Day? And do you think that would help you in any way on Sunday? Without
Uh,
giving anything away, of course.
I think you always learn new things when you play teams. I think you always pick up things. We can all nowadays all the teams in the lower leagues, everyone does analysis on the opposition. But until you play them, you don't really see the full depth and diversity of how they want to play and the changes they can make and the way the manager wants them to play. So we saw that. We saw a team that kept going to the end. They kept loading our box, albeit we gave them opportunities with the free kicks and corners we were giving away. But they kept going. They didn't down tools, especially when we went 2-1 up. They could have crumbled and they didn't, although we maybe could have scored a few more to put them out of sight. So I think I read somewhere that they've sold out their allocation of coach seats to get here. I don't know about the actual tickets for the game. So they'll have a few here and they'll make some noise being the underdogs. And we've got to make sure we keep them quiet for most of the game.
Scunthorpe thought they should have had a point at least. Will they feel they've got unfinished business, you think, tomorrow?
I think, listen, a lot of teams say that when they lose by the odd goal. We should. We're all the same. We're all biased. We all think we should have won or should have drawn. So I'm sure our camp's got different views on that statement than Scunthorpe, but that's fair enough. No, listen, I think they'll come here, like I just said, knowing that we're massive favourites. We're going to have a big crowd in. We want to chase those top two spots. The minute we're in a good position in third, so whether it's Scunthorpe down the bottom or not counting a few weeks here up the top, we approach just the same. Hopefully, get an early goal and have a really enjoyable afternoon.
When you have a home and away game so close together, is there a tendency to look at ways to change the way that you've played because of the previous match?
Yes and no. I think with us, it's probably more about looking back at the game at Scunthorpe and cutting out the things that we did. I wouldn't say wrong, but not so good. Things we can improve on in open play, dead ball situations, with the ball, without the ball, whatever. I think they're the things we'll have to look at here and the things that we can do better. We know that they're a team that have got some good players, and yes, as I just said, they're down the bottom, but it's tight down there, so they'll want to come and start their good run soon, or stop their bad run soon, should I say. So it's more a case of what we can do better. And that's a bit of a cliche, but when you've played a team, really, you can really just look back on that game and say, look, we're facing near enough, I would imagine, the same 11. Might be a few changes, but it won't be wholesale changes, I wouldn't have thought. So we know where their threats are, where we think we can hurt them. Same old things that coaches say in his interviews. But yeah, it's about us. It's about putting the things right that we thought we could have done better on Boxing Day and hopefully have a bit more comfortable afternoon. But like I always say, if we don't turn up or we take things for granted, it'll be a very tough afternoon.
Do you think because of their position, they can play with more freedom because they've got very little to lose? Or do you think there's just more pressure on them?
I think if they were a typically National North or National South or a lower end National League team, then there'd be little pressure on them. But this is Scunthorpe. They're a few years ago they're in the Championship, and their supporters won't. They're not just coming here for a day out. They've been to grounds like Chesterfield before. This isn't like a big eye opener for them. Their supporters, a lot of their players as well. So there is massive pressure on them to get out of the situation they're in. Like, whatever their off the field situation is, we can't care about that. We've had our own off the field issues in the past, as the supporters will testify. and it's important that we don't show them any sympathy, like no one probably showed us sympathy at that period. So no, I don't believe that. I think there's big pressure on them to get off the bottom. As I say, they won't be overawed by the occasion, especially their supporters, because they've been at much bigger grounds at this. We're in the Championship, maybe 7 years ago, I'm not sure on that. So no, there'll be a different type of pressure on them, and that's to hurry up and get off the bottom of the league.
So basically, tomorrow you're expecting pretty much a repeat of Boxing Day, not in terms of result, but in terms of the fight and how it goes. And
well, it's like anything. We know none of us have got crystal balls, but what I will say is that we'll come out a bit wrong. That, isn't it? We'll have to sort of play it as it comes. Sometimes you can only prepare and sort of look at what they did last time, and we can't say they're going to turn up fighting and scrapping, because we were hoping to turn up at Halifax and absolutely play our great football and get 3 points, and it wasn't to be. That's not because we didn't plan well. It's just on the day it didn't work out. So to do well, you need very minimal amount of those days where they don't work out. And so, in Scunthorpe's case, I'm sure they've had a lot of those days that they haven't worked out, and that's why they're down the bottom. So we're planning for a certain approach from the opposition, and if it doesn't come, great. But like I say, if we don't turn up, regardless of what our opposition brings to us, our supporters go home disappointed. So we have to turn up and make sure that it rounds off a really good year for the football club.
Did we pick up any knocks and niggles from the game on Boxing Day?
No. That's really good. That's been a nice common theme of this season, actually. I think if you look at our injury list, Manny Leke's back running now, which is great. Cooper's still struggling with his knee and hamstring injury, which is disappointing, but hopefully that'll be a sooner than later job. So we're looking okay in that department with our injuries. And after each game this year, that tempting fate, we seem to be okay. I think last year we were losing one a game towards the end, just an injury at least per game. And that was due to a lot of things, but sometimes we were in the end with some bad tackles. I think this year the referees have protected our players a little bit more, a little bit better. I think the standards gone up of officiating with, they've looked after our players, especially at our ground. So yeah, we're all right in that department. Hopefully we come through training all right today, and the manager and us as staff have got a full set of players to choose from.
Well, I was going to ask you about Manny Oyeleke and the rest of them. Is there any sort of tentative penciling in of when we might see some of them back?
It was always going to be January for Manny in terms of training. So he's virtually on the edge of that now. He's just doing a bit of running on his own with Ben the physio. So hopefully sort of mid-January he can do full training. Hopefully. Even when you join in training, he's missed so much, it's going to take him a long time to get up to scratch, which he knows. But if we get Manny fully fit, he's a very good player. Sadly, with Manny and no fault of his own, he's missed a lot of football. And you've seen when he's fully fit what an asset he is, and we just haven't seen that amount of him, which is really sad for the lad because he wants to play football and he's such a nice kid. But we're hoping hopefully mid towards the end of January we'll have him fit for selection. But if it has to go into February, so be it.
Well, that's good news. I'm sure a lot of supporters will be very pleased about that. Can we look back over 2022? What is your assessment of the club's performance and progression over the year?
Oh, I think it'd be silly to sit and go, it's been absolutely outstanding, excellent. Because if you say things like that, A, you would have won the league last year, and B, would have been top of League Two now. So it's not right at the very, very top, but it's not far off. And it's the old saying, the league table doesn't lie. Third, with the amount of points we've got, halfway through, it was really good. And like I said last week, it's just a shame that two teams are doing better than us at the moment. We beat those two teams that week when our games and things can change. But the here and now it's Scunthorpe, so we can't look that forward that much ahead at the moment. But in terms of what your question was, the year, I think it's been good. The early January last year at Chelsea, so the supporters have got that memory to look back on, even though we got thrashed, but boys done themselves proud in a lot of ways, ticked a lot of boxes, and the supporters had a great day. Obviously, the playoff defeat at Solihull was disappointing because you think you get to get to West Ham Stadium at that point, got a chance of going up. That was a real kick in the gut. But this season, from from the first pre-season game at Sheffield Wednesday behind closed doors, I think we lost 4 games, including friendlies and reserve games. So it's been a good season. It's been a good year for the football club, but it won't be a real cracking year until we get promotion. But that takes steps sometimes. Everyone's talking about Wrexham. Look how long they've been in this league. I think it's more than double what we've been in this league for. So it's one step at a time without sounding too much like a book of cliches. And I would say it's very, very good year, but hopefully it can still improve.